Hi there everyone, this is Dan Dix here, reporting for Press for Truth, and this just in, Canada is invading Iraq. Or rather, Stephen Harper, as per leader of the Conservative Party that holds a majority of the seats in the House of Commons, which basically makes him de facto Prime Minister, has decided to send a portion of the Canadian Armed Forces to a Middle Eastern country. What is the reason for this, you may ask? Well, the Kurds need to be stopped in the Islamic State. Well, who or what is the Islamic State and ISIL and ISIS anyways? They have their origins in the Syrian civil war, and they are in fact the CIA's vanguard to balkanize the Middle East. They give angry jihadists an opportunity to fire the weapons supplied by the enemy at the enemy, if only to satisfy some childhood injustice. Now, it's a good thing Canada is getting involved with the US's advising forces. After all, we wouldn't want this generation of Middle Eastern children to grow up without feeling some sort of injustice done unto them by the NATO occupying forces. Now, the people who were wrong about the invasion of Iraq back in 2003 are in fact still making the decisions. The only difference now between then and now is that Canada is sick with the neoconservative illness. And as the Americans have figured out with President Obama, change is not as easy as just voting for a federal party. Now, Harper recently stated, "The fanaticism of the ISIL terrorist group is a real threat to regional security and millions of innocent people in Iraq, Syria, and beyond. Left unchecked, ISIL is also a direct threat to Canada and its allies. The deployment of members of the Canadian Armed Forces is a concrete measure to deter the murderous rampage of ISIL and respond to the humanitarian crisis that it has caused." Well, the West has caused this humanitarian crisis, and more war isn't going to fix anything. This posturing about a direct threat to Canada, especially so close to the September 11th date, creates a great deal of anxiety for many Canadians, especially for those of us who are aware that the official account of 9/11 is false, scientifically false. So where's the investigation on that? Instead of supporting a scientific inquiry into the destruction of the 3 World Trade Center buildings, the Harper government has rather repeated what the previous liberal governments did, lie about it, then join NATO abroad. And now by the time Justin Trudeau comes into power, Spearhead may be the dominant force in this area of the world. So thanks, Spearhead. I've always wanted to die in a false flag terrorist attack, have my loved ones avenge my death by joining the lowly ranks of the criminal cartel responsible for my death in the first place, and then dying themselves in the process, thus continuing the cycle for another generation. And as this happens on both sides of the conflict, poor Kurds. I mean, if we leave, what will happen to them? But if we stay, what will happen to us? Well, as a Canadian, allow me to apologize on behalf of my country for the continued death and destruction that I'm required as a taxpayer to finance. I'd ask the troops to disobey their orders, but they would probably just laugh at me. I suppose it's better that than arrest me. So while I still can, let me say it, I want to exercise this right to do so. I don't think Stephen Harper should be sending Canadian Armed Forces to Iraq. He's a game piece in a multi-generational game where banking families and royalty pin nations and cultures against each other for wealth, power, and, well, some darker motivations as well. So for now, let's remember that Harper has finally gotten his wish, an invasion of Iraq. Add that to a majority government, and this job has been pretty good to old Bilderberg boy Stevie Harper. But there's been a lot of talk about the Islamic State invading the West, and with the 13th anniversary of 9/11 coming up, perhaps an attack is in the works. Let's hope not. But in the meantime, if we're going to be pointing any fingers, let's look at the real enemy: Western governments and their crony capitalist backing. So for more information on this, guys, be sure to check out one of my previous vlogs titled The Battle for Iraq, Order Out of Chaos. And check the links in the description to see where you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to tune in often to our new website for more video reports coming soon to pressfortruth.ca.